Coming up next, it's Toonami, followed by Big Bag on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Big Bag, followed by Small World on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's more of Big Bag, followed by Small World on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Small World, followed by Boomerang on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, Small World continues, followed by Boomerang on Cartoon Network.
Don't run away. Next, the Scrappy-Doo Marathon continues, followed by the Flintstones on Cartoon Network.
Coming up next, it's the Flintstones, followed by the Tex Avery Show on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's the Tex Avery Show, followed by Toonheads on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Toonheads, followed by Tom and Jerry on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Tom and Jerry, followed by Johnny Bravo on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Johnny Bravo, followed by Ed, Edd n Eddy on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Ed, Edd n Eddy, followed by Cow and Chicken on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Cow and Chicken, followed by the Powerpuff Girls on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's I Am Weasel, followed by Space Ghost Coast to Coast on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Space Ghost Coast to Coast, followed by Late Night Black and White on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Late Night Black and White, followed by Oh Canada on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Oh Canada, followed by Droopy on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Droopy, followed by Popeye on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Popeye, followed by Yogi Bear on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Yogi Bear, followed by Huckleberry Hound on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Huckleberry Hound, followed by Adam Ant on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Adam Ant, followed by Secret Squirrel on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Secret Squirrel, followed by Rocky and Bullwinkle on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Rocky and Bullwinkle, followed by Dudley Do-Right on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Dudley Do-Right, followed by Cartoon-a-Doodle-Doo on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Cartoon-a-Doodle-Doo, followed by Tom and Jerry Kids on Cartoon Network. Coming up next, it's Tom and Jerry Kids, followed by Dexter's Laboratory on Cartoon Network.